how can Railway to Golmud be a good thing, but also a bad thing for Battlefield 6 at the same time? A hot take, I know, but listen to me for a bit and the whole thing will clear up what I mean by that. So, over the last few days, I've been grinding the new map, Railway to Golmud, in Battlefield 6 almost exclusively because Season 3 has started. Right now we're grinding up the weapons first, obviously testing out the new map, checking out everything that's new with vehicles, how they can behave there, and how the map simply plays completely differently compared to all previous maps in Battlefield 6. And what I mean by this take from just now, why it's a good thing and a bad thing for the game, is coming up next. I love playing this map so incredibly much because I feel it finally has that Battlefield feeling that I think many have simply missed so much in Battlefield 6 the entire time. It shows what I have said earlier over and over again, that this type of shooter, especially Battlefield, simply stands and falls with its maps. I feel that Battlefield 6 plays completely different on this map than on all the other maps before. Operation Firestorm and Myrak Valley go somewhat in that direction, but still Railway to Golmud nailed this feeling, this Battlefield sandbox feeling, perfectly for me. Of course, the changes from the update that came along with Season 3 right now also contribute to that, no question about it. Still, this map brings back what Battlefield 6 was somehow simply missing the entire time. And that includes having breathing room once in a while. Action is good, but still, Battlefield was always somehow a game where you could also pause for a moment, think about what you're doing next, check the map for a second, where's the next tank that I can engage, where's maybe a point that's currently being captured, where should I head with my squad to defend a point or maybe capture another one. So in essence, a bit more tactical. I don't mean to say Battlefield was ever a tactical shooter. It has always been kind of arcadey and action heavy, but still, it wasn't Call of Duty either, where you constantly have to sweat and someone is permanently standing behind every single corner, and so on and so forth. You simply get breathing room in between on this Golmud Railway, as it was called once. Like I said, that might sound counterproductive at first when talking about an action shooter, but in principle, it really isn't. You can actually try things out. The greatest Battlefield moments actually happened because people simply had the time to try something. Maybe they parked a tank a bit off to the side, blew it up into the sky, and shot down a jet. You simply had absolutely zero time for that on the other maps because it's just always stressful the entire time. Railway to Golmud does this perfectly. And I wasn't even a huge fan of the original map back in the days because it was simply too flat and also too much of a vehicle map. And in this new version, they solved it perfectly, also breaking sidelines. There's enough cover even when buildings get destroyed. We have enough dips in the terrain where you can hide behind as infantry. This entire central axis basically belongs to infantry, and as soon as you get close to E, F or D in a tank, it's over really quick in the village because there are so many angles there and you have to be a bit careful because the infantry is lurking there. This map is built like a textbook example for a great Battlefield map, and those are also the maps that I personally always like best. And it simply has the following recipe. There's simply a cluster of building where things are more CQC and infantry focused, and around it we have large terrain where vehicles can also take place and aren't immediately under fire the entire time either, but can actually operate a bit. And then around that we got a huge airspace. That's also the first time in Battlefield 6 we have that. So, a bit of everything. And like I said, Railway to Golmud does that perfectly in my opinion. I think during the time I've played it, I've experienced more Battlefield moments, like those typical moments where you think, wow, that's insane, that only happens in Battlefield, than in the entire time before in Battlefield 6. Just out of this trying things out of this freedom, out of this sandbox-like nature, so many funny and cool things happen. That is what actually made Battlefield big. Now I come to why I mean it also has something bad to it, because now you actually realize for the first time how good Battlefield 6 actually is or can be within this Battlefield universe and gameplay feel. Because when you switch to the other maps now, like Cairo for example, like Liberation Peak and almost all other maps except Myrak Valley and Operation Firestorm maybe, you notice how less Battlefield-like the other maps actually are. How stressful they are, and how much I think after 5 to 6 matches I think I'll play Railway to Golmud again. Eastwood is still okay, I might have forgotten that one, but they are actually very linear, very narrow, and the new map is simply well-rounded in principle, and that is also a shape that is really good for a Battlefield map because you can also go around the outside. And I think that this lane-like geometry of the maps additionally reinforces that you either get stomped as a team or you steamroll the other team yourself. Because if one team is a bit better than the other, they have absolutely no chance to somehow flank around the outside, maybe capture a point in the back. I'm speaking more or less about conquest here all the time, because for me that is the definitive battlefield mode. You can't even get around the other team that is pushing you back inside these narrow corridors that the maps have in Battlefield 6. Meaning every round on these other maps feel like breakthrough, literally, and not like conquest. Where you can, be here, be there, also flank around the outside sometimes, maybe flank all the way past the edge of the map with a transport heli and capture a point behind enemy lines and so on. So what Conquest and what Battlefield actually is to me. Long story short, from this map, from the new one, from Railway to Golmud, you notice how awesome Battlefield 6 can actually be. And when you play the older or the previous maps of Battlefield 6, you literally feel the difference immediately, I think. For me, that happens very quickly, within minutes. Of course, that is a highly individual take. That's just how I perceive it. Maybe others perceive it completely differently and think to themselves, what a massive map, totally boring, I just want Metro back. I think the ratio in Battlefield 6 is exactly the wrong way around. You have a lot of small CQC heavy maps and very few large, I'll just call them Battlefield-like maps. If it were exactly the other way around, I'd be fine with a small CQC map every now and then where things get down to business, if you know what I mean. But since it's down to business 80% of the time, like I said, the ratio is simply inverted for me. For my part, I think it should be 80% Golmud feel and 20% sweating on smaller maps. After all, that's why we all decided at some point not to play Call of Duty, but rather Battlefield. That was a big differentiator, right? Of course, all-out warfare, vehicles and so on, but I mean this feeling of being squeezed together on a map and simply running in brainlessly, in quotation marks of course, just to get as many kills as possible, and the one with the fastest reaction wins, or whoever shoots first. That was never actually Battlefield. And I was also satisfied with the Battlefield 6 map at the beginning because there was nothing else, and I enjoyed that too. And I also found the game awesome before and I liked playing it, but now, you simply noticed how much more awesome it could still be, always in my eyes. Like I said, if you see it differently, definitely write it in the comments, but also very important, if you see it the exact same way, write it in the comments too, because we live in a culture of constant outrage, and unfortunately, only those people write comments, or many at least, who have something to complain about. Therefore, if you share this opinion, write that in the comments too for once. That is very important. Yeah, next up is Cairo Bazaar, and that's just another one of those CQC maps, maybe not quite as linear and corridor-like, more rectangular. Yeah, let's see what they made out of it. If you don't want to miss my opinion on that map, definitely leave a sub. You know the drill. Otherwise, check out over here. Maybe this video interests you too. That one definitely wants to be clicked, I think. Subscribe to the channel and we'll gladly see each other in the next video. Leave a comment on what you think of this video, of the map, of the new season. And then until the next video. Bye.